Yeah, I'm back. Hello, hello, hello. Happy day. Happy day. Hopefully, I could try to look like I'm not on the phone so I could be calm. I don't have to be rudely interrupted on some weird shit all the time out here. But, sometimes when you're trying to get a point across the proper way and you're compelled to say it, you get sidetracked. And that's a lot of things that happen to me in Wisconsin. I'm always getting sidetracked when I'm trying to be about the Most High and do his due diligence, do my due diligence to be pleasing in his sight. So whatever I'm compelled to say, I must say it. Everything, everything belongs to him. Everything. It doesn't matter how much riches and gold and things you have, and that's what I learned in this situation I've been in. That nothing goes with you when you die. So you're supposed to enjoy the fruits that he laid for you here. That's what he tried to do for Adam and Eve when he created them, and then they didn't listen, they weren't obedient. Then it's hard to be obedient in this world when Satan and Lucifer and the devil are running around, and people are so susceptible to their desires of humanly flesh. And I'm not a hypocrite. I could speak because I know I've been there, and um out here there's so many people that talks the Christian faith, all different um, sections of Christianity, and these are the worst people that I've ever sat around with their behaviors and how they judge and do everything that is said not to do. And I never thought that this existed in this life. Never. So, like I said, God is beautiful and glorious, and he's looking for somebody to care for him as much as he cares for everybody. He set us up with a habitation to live on, and air to breathe, and water to drink, and um, crops to tend to, animals to tend to, and then he placed us on it after he did all that for us to be inconvenienced in our habitation because we were the apple of his eye. It was done all so we could roam around in comfort. So through all the working and the relationships and having to raise your kids and having to, I don't know, the things that we do on a regular basis as people, we have to learn how to get with the get with the fact that creation is here. Like GMOs, why? If there's no seed, where is the information to be written in your body for your body to know what to do for itself? How is the sun being able to institute the right protons in it and photons in it to create and connect to do what it has to do? As for the cloning, why? It's when the clones come out, they're not even as smart as the real things. Like they're not smart as every clone is definitely not smarter than its maker. You can't create anything over that God has made and make it better than what God would. God knew what he was doing when he created. And man does not know what he's doing because he doesn't even know what tomorrow brings. It is written never trust in man because he will deceive himself. There's many times I deceived myself in getting in a relationship I thought was going to work for me, or doing things that I thought felt good, but in all actuality it was no good for my mental health. You know what I'm saying? I've deceived myself many times. So why do I have to lean on anything more than what God has given me? And there's nothing that I can't ask him for that will not come through for me, because he loves me. He knows the hairs on my head. He knows every birthmark on my body. He knows my thoughts before I even know them. There's times I'll step in a room or a situation and I'll have a deja vu. Like early this morning, I had a deja vu, seeing everything the way it was when I woke up. So I was right where I was supposed to be at the time I was supposed to be at it. Now, life is serious. That's all we have, you know. And I don't take anybody's life for granted, especially not mine. So in this aspect, I'm compelled to come out and talk about the Most High and his glory and his greatness. And that's why he deserves for the angels and the elders to sit around him and say glory, 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 because they know that without him they would not even be they wouldn't be part of supreme thought to come into fruition and manifestation. So I got to give the glory to the God and make sure that I do it all the time, without distraction. I like when I could do that without distraction. As for when I'm going back to what I was saying about, it's good. Yeah, praise the word. But know the word came from something higher than itself and knew it and had no problem telling everybody, no, this goes to the Father. Stop wanting a Saul, meaning King Saul that came before David. Man wanted a king. And God asked them, they wanted something that they could see to be above them, opposed to just God. That was the story. That's how Saul got chosen to be king and anointed, because he was set apart from all of them. He was the tallest one, and he was very handsome, pleasing to look at, and he was godly. He was on a godly path compared to everybody else in God's eyes. So he said, okay, I'm going to find you a king just for you. And it changed up. God never changes up. He made it all. What he got to change up on it for? You know what I'm saying? He's not going to get big-headed off of anything, because he's the one that created it. He fashioned it. And the word went out and did the work. You know what I'm saying? The word, as God said it, he don't have to get up for nobody. He don't have to get up and do nothing for nobody. He said it, and Christ was on it like that. Made it happen. The minute he said it, the angels get up and they get on it like that and make it happen. And that's a magnificent God. Like, he my king. He's my Boaz. He's my originator. He's my Alpha and Omega. He is the Alpha and Omega. After I am gone, he will still be. And that's a beautiful thing. After Christ was gone, he was what made him resurrect. Because Christ believes in him. He gave him the glory. He walked blemish-free on this earth. So Christ even said he didn't come to destroy it, he came to fulfill it. And he did. He walked through everybody. And everybody's like, how could you sit down with the wine bibbers? How could you sit down with the prostitutes? Who is this guy talking this in such authority? And he's sitting with the worst of the worst. But the worst of the worst was those who judged, because they didn't see God's work in hand. They was just too busy talking. And we gotta start listening opposed to talking. We gotta start discerning. And the best way to do that is by, yes, he said you cannot get to the Father except if you get through me. But he also said, when they said, they're prophesying and doing the things that we do by your name, should we rebuke them? Rebuke them. And he said, no, you don't do that, because you don't even know what somebody's going to be later on. You let them do what they're doing. They doing God's work. Why we got to stop them? Because they not chilling with us? Why we got to stop them? Leave them to their business. They doing their business. They doing what God wants done here. Healing. He wanted his whole atmosphere to be healed at that point, and it just didn't work, because man is always cutting his head off. Man is always cutting his own head off because he can't see the help that's being provided before him at the time. At the time God appoints the time for men to hear, they don't never hear. That's what happened in Noah's day. That's what happened with Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what happened. There is a fine line between truth and falsehood. And God is truth all the way. And we don't know his plans, because some of us don't even know ourselves, because we're too busy with the trends. I never liked the trends. Anybody I was on my own thing, talking about God, trying to learn God. I didn't care what it took. And for a while, I used to give Christ the glory all the time. But then I read more and more, and the more you read these books, not just the Bible, not just the Quran, because the Quran will lead you back to the Bible. If you're smart, you'll start to read the stories that happened in the Bible the minute you get into the Quran, or else you didn't totally submit. You know what I'm saying? You didn't totally give yourself you don't understand. You just in submission all the time, and it's pleasing to God, but at the same time you understand why you're submitting. So you would have to go back to Tanakh and read the whole thing to understand God. When you get to the New Testament, you hear the praise and the glory and the miraculousness of Christ, a man that could do awesome things on earth. So you sit up and you like that, because everybody likes a miracle. Everybody got to see it before they believe it. So it's a beautiful thing to just believe in the Most High. For me, that's how I really feel. He always reveals what needs to be done, right when it needs to be done. And I'm sure that I'm going to get out of Wisconsin and away from this tyranny. And even if it's by going with him, at least I do not have to suffer the things, the evil that man does, and Christ was beautiful. If I could have lived that day, and I have the mindset that I have now and the heart that I have now, I think that I would have threw myself on him when they were beating him, opposed to saying I want to rub his blood upon me to cover me. God never slaughtered animals. Never slaughtered man. He slaughtered animals. Even when he told, as a template to him sending down Christ, he told Abraham to take Isaac up to Mount Moriah and slaughter him like a burnt sacrifice. And Abraham, he had so much faith that God was still going to give him the promise if he let go of this child, because he already let Ishmael out. So I think he battled with himself, because he had to let Ishmael out because of what Sarah told him to do. And that was his son too. So he said, okay, I'm going to take Isaac up there, because I know God going to give me another one. That's how he didn't care if he was 100 and Sarah was 100. God did it when they was that age, so he could do it again. He had belief in that, and the minute he took him up to Mount Moriah, God told him, don't do that. I got something for you. and he found the ram in the thicket. So to me, that story let me know God don't slaughter people as that was not the ransom. He called it in the Psalms, and I believe in Daniel. No, the Psalms and Isaiah. He called it a ransom. That he was a ransom for man, Christ. So to me, when he got stabbed underneath in his side, and the veil of the holies of holies was ripped, that to me said that now we have an obligation to be our own servant, our own king, and our own prophet to ourselves. We don't have to now put a chain on the ankle of our high priest as he walks into the holies of holies and makes an atonement for the sacrifice that God put down for you to have atonement. We don't have to do that no more, because now the veil is ripped. When the priest would go in there and somebody's heart was off when they came to make a sacrifice, or the priest's heart was off, they had a bell on it as well, that when he walked in and it wasn't right, he died. So they had to pull him out on a chain that they tied to his ankle if he was to die, because he wasn't 100% through going through. Christ was 100%. He was slaughtered by man in the most heinous way. So he was ransomed, all right, but he was God's son. We held him captive from God. That's how I would see that one. You know what I'm saying? I see it differently. And now when the veil was ripped, no, it's all right, sweetheart. When the veil was ripped, that said that you that killed him have to do your own atonement, because he was placed here in the flesh to be your guider out of sin into light, into the most high, closer to the Father, closer to the Most High. That's why I would say he has to get the glory. He's jealous. He has to get the glory. You know, now the veil is open. So this Holy Spirit is part of him. He feels and knows everything. We don't have to wait he already knew it. He already knew and felt everything, but he wanted to test how much you are. He veiled himself so he don't kill us off top. When the children was in Egypt and came out of Egypt, read what happened to the kids and grown folk, old folk, it don't matter, young babies. Read what happened to them in their 40 years and 40 journey through the desert. How many times God almost slaughtered them? And they didn't have no tent for him. David did that. So he was mad, getting pissed. So why would he have to veil himself? And then all of a sudden you killed his best one. The one that was better than everybody. You can't touch him. How you think he gonna feel? He gonna rip the veil. Oh yeah, you got it like that? Now let's see what you do for yourself. That's how I took it. So you have an obligation to yourself now and then. You can't always say, oh, to me, I would never say I'm covered in the blood of Jesus, because Jesus was beat bad. After he was beat, would you get down in that blood and then smear it all over yourself for healing, for money, for a profit? When he was a prophet in the flesh, in his whole body, in his whole self. So what are you going to do about your temple? And I think the best thing that you could do for your temple itself is to love the Most High, because he's lacking that love, and he is love. He created you. So we have an obligation to ourselves You don't have no obligation to anybody. When Christ come back, he coming with a rod. For the things that happened to him, God gonna put a rod in his hand and bring him down. He already got in the temple square and started flipping everything over and said, you turning my father's house into a den of thieves. Hitting on people, smacking them up. And you think he's not going to be able to come back in the end with the saints coming from the heavens and the clouds and knock you out and smack you up and beat you badly with his rod? He ain't coming to hug you. He already did that. And you slaughtered him. Think about that. That's how I personally feel. It's generalizing. This is my total, I was compelled to talk about giving the Most High the glory today. So this is what I'm leaving here. Peace be unto you. I love you. Have a good day.